the green. Okay, great. Sorry about the delay there, chat. So, hello everyone, my name is Phil Gallagher, I run Thraben University, and today we are playing with 5-color humans. We went and we defeated my friend on Tess real quick. Turns out when you have this many hate bears, you just do dirty, dirty things. And we got to have some fun with Is It Staticaster. So we're moving on to round 2. Sorry about the delay there. It happens from time to the best of us. So, I didn't talk about this at the beginning, but now that we have some time while I'm looking to get into the next game here, one of the advantages over this deck versus, like, say, traditional Death and Taxes is that you do have significantly more combo hate. In game 1, you have these 12 hate bearers right here for combo, and this is a lot of different ways to go and pressure an opposing combo deck. Where is my game? Here is my game. I won the role I would like to play. Alright, so we're playing against Tad. What do I have? I have a turn 1 champion into a turn 2 Thalia into a turn 3 other Thalia lieutenant. This seems great. My opponent says, "Hey Phil, love your stream." How do you feel about humans, Tad? I hope you love humans, because I have many of them for you. Yeah, Cham, I don't know that if I'm playing both Orzhov Pontiff and Is It Staticaster, I don't know how reliable the empty plan is, and if possible, I feel like you're supposed to try in tendrils. K-Pons, thank you very much for hosting. Sorry we kind of had some awkwardness there for a minute while I was resolving all of my technical difficulties. Yes, the champion is going to get very big. So I could take a turn off to Ether Vial, but I'd rather keep the pressure up and like do something that's somewhat disruptive here by go ahead and like playing the Thalia this turn. If my opponent's on, like, lands or aggro loam or any variation thereof, getting this Thalia down as quickly as possible is going to make their life a little bit worse. No! Thalia, why? EE on 1. Okay, what do I do this turn? Not Thalia is certainly the answer, and probably not Thalia's lieutenant. I also probably don't want to Ether Vial, so by process of elimination, that means it's probably freebooter time. And I'm super rewarded for not playing out the Vial last turn. Well, I'm going to take the gamble because that gets life from the loam. However, there's a lot of problem cards here. Sylvan Library is really good. Alright. Yeah, Cham, I don't really know how you're supposed to reasonably win that matchup if you lose game 1. Like, I feel like you can try to go off underneath some of the hate bears when you're on the play, but on the draw, that seems like a really hard prospect. Romario, thank you very much for auto-hosting. Alright, so there's the library coming down, and there's the Mazavith. I think my opponent was supposed to not play Maze, fetch with Wooded Foothills, and play the Exploration as well that turn. Right? Because that's just free, and then they also get to put the Maze into play afterwards. Oh, they'll blow it up with their own EE. Okay, yeah, I see. That's fair. I missed that. Alright, so what am I doing with my turn? I can just Thalia's Lieutenant and pump the team. Or I can play Orzhov Pontiff, pump the team. The longer I wait on playing the Thalia's Lieutenant, the more creatures that I can put counters on it. So, but at the same time, if I play the Thalia's Lieutenant this turn, then it can start getting counters from the other creatures hitting play. I think I'm supposed to play this, actually. And I think I'm supposed to play this one because of Punishing Fire specifically. Because this would turn this into a 2/3, so that it is now bigger than Punishing Fire can do in a single go. And I'm not going to play my Vial because of the EE that's on board. I'm actually going to get pretty aggressive. So my opponent's not going to be able to draw very many cards with this Sylvan Library. Maybe, if any. Alright, so there's cracking the EE to get rid of the champion. Now my opponent can fetch with this and play Exploration and then play another land. Oh, geez, a gamble. That is scary. That might be Punishing Fire over Loam here. Hard to tell. Yeah, Punishing Fire. So there's a very good possibility that this one might just slip away. Do I have a Sanctum Prelate in the main deck? I do not. So I could play Thalia into Thalia this turn to turn the Thalia's Lieutenant into a 3/3. If I do so, I hit for 2 this turn, putting my opponent to 10, and then they can't Punishing Fire and kill something in the same turn cycle. Which I think is considerably better than anything else I can do, even though it is negative initial value for me. Yeah, a Meddling Mage would be stellar. I want to keep my newer Thalia. Yeah, so Sword Equip, this is one of those things that, like, doesn't necessarily look amazing, right? But it's something that puts me in a good position to take advantage of the resources that I have. And then on my next turn here, I can play Pontiff to pump what's left of the team. My Thalia is either going to probably get, like, bounced here, or maybe even just, like, initially Punishing Fired. Or I just slam that. I'm going to think about this for a second. So I'm going to assume that my Thalia gets bounced here. And on my opponent's next turn, they do have the possibility of pay 2 mana, return Punishing Fire at their end step, then pay 2 mana, Punishing Fire one of my guys, return, pay 2 mana, Punishing Fire one of my guys. So I'm going to do this pre-combat to grow everything. And now this will help draw me into more gas to keep fueling the Lieutenant if it sticks around, or it will just, like, draw me into things that could shut off my opponent's game plan, such as Meddling Mage. Oh no. He's just going to crop rotation for one big boy. That is bad. So my opponent wouldn't have made that in the middle of combat anyway, in all likelihood. So it's not really like I got punished for doing that. Alright, now I can concede. Oh yeah, sort of equipped. It was something that was on my mind, but, like, I can't really play around that, right? Like, if my opponent has crop rotation, then at the end step, they just crop rotate and I'm going to die. And, like, I can't really just afford to just hold up a wasteland, right? I don't think that's reasonable. So I think, like, the gas from or I didn't even have that at the time. So, like, the gas from Jailer was going to be super important as that game went on. Yeah, so if we can't beat it, it's just better to jam. All right, let's figure out what I don't want in this matchup. And I think this is going to be a little bit tricky to do, because I think a lot of these cards are very reasonable. Like, I don't love Crusader, and I don't love Pontiff, so I think those need to go. Reflector Mage, like, does answer a Merit Lodge, so that's cool. So we probably need to keep that, even though it's kind of, like, awkward against the rest of the deck. And from there, the cuts are a little bit harder. Like, maybe I'm supposed to trim on some of the Mana Dorks since they're vulnerable to Punishing Fire, and maybe I'm supposed to, like, trim on Thalias. I would love any feedback from chat on how to sideboard, because I feel like I have the cards that I want in correct. Maybe the War Priest is too ambitious to, like, hit Exploration and Sylvan Library. Maybe that's too ambitious. I like trying something along these lines. Do I need bomb? No. But it's something that protects my cards from punishing fire, which I do care about quite a bit. I want some reflector mages, but maybe 3 is too many. I can agree with that, chat. So this is a hand. This is a hand that stops early Grave Hate. It has an answer to a Merit Lodge, and it has an answer to both Punishing Fire and Loam. This is interesting. I have no pressure. Literal no pressure. But is this hand hateful enough that this is good? I think I'm keeping this. I think this is a really weird keep, but I think it's a keep. I'm going to play out my Ancient Ziggurats first, because if I'm going to get, like, Wastelanded, I'd rather those go. No, I have not found that 5-color pod deck. I want that deck list. I will stream that deck list if I get that deck list. I got a lot of messages about that deck specifically. People really want to see it. Yeah, I might need to, like, crowdsource that one. Like, I might need to just, like, try to find people who know the person who played it. Oh, boy. So, while I have the opportunity to 100% get rid of that, I will do so. My opponent can't cycle a land right now to get rid of it. And I'm going to let my opponent know about 1 Caracas. I'm going to put this on 2. I'm going to hold back my mom for Molten Vortex reasons. Unfortunately, my opponent got down this Sylvan Library before I dropped my Prelate, and that's a huge problem. But we can't have it all. So this 3 damage a turn isn't really enough. pressure. Like, it's okay for now, but I'm gonna need some more. Otherwise, something as simple as just, like, a maze of if is going to completely undo me. So Gobbo Hunter, I didn't win the challenge. I got 3rd place. I just went 7-0 in the Swiss. So I was first in the standings at the end of the Swiss. Yes, I will take that as a starting point. Thank you. I'll take a look at it later. That's very helpful. Yeah, so I went undefeated in the Swiss, then beat Ant in the first round of top 8, and lost to Shadow in the second round of top 8. My Shadow opponent got very, very lucky. They had... So I had lethal on board with a Sword of Fire and Ice if it resolved, and my opponent had 1 card left in hand, and the 1 card was Daze, which I needed them not to have. Because I had, like, exactly enough to, like, play a Stoneforge, get a Sword of Fire and Ice. Ah, crap. So now my opponent has Wasteland my Caracas. Haha! Never mind, everything's okay again. So without looking, I think I played, like, Sneak and Show, then, like, Goblins twice, then Death and Taxes twice, then a Death Shadow deck. That sounds right. So it's 7 rounds, 2 Goblins, 2 D&T, 1 Sneak Attack, 1 Death Shadow, and then something else. Do I know my opponent's 1 card? I don't think I know my opponent's 1 card. Let's get some information. Okay. So my opponent is probably going to crop rotation for another Wasteland. So I guess this means I should fire off my Wasteland at their Dark Depths now. No. No, I need to let this resolve. I want them to get that other Wasteland. I guess. And then once that's in play, I can Wasteland the Dark Depths. They'll Wasteland my Caracas and go off, and then I'll Caracas the Dark Depths again. Yeah, so there is that second Wasteland. Alright. So now I Wasteland Dark Depths. My opponent will Wasteland my Caracas. I'll float a white for appearances. Oh, I mean, I still want to get the Merit Lodge off the table, but yes, I'm aware that, like, Mom plus Kitesail Freebooter is sweet. Yeah, like, there's only downside to leaving Merit Lodge around. Like, it's a blocker. If they have Sajiri Step and they can go through Kitesail Freebooter, I'm all sorts of sad. Like, this got multiple of their lands off the table, right? They're down 3 lands. 1 Wasteland, 1 Dark Depths, 1 Thespian Stage, and they're at 5 life. I like this. This is a loam. That is not good for me. It is not a loam. They are merely representing the fact that they could have had a loam. Alright, do I want to change any sideboarding? Alright, I had prelate, didn't I? Yep. Yeah, this is the sort of stuff that happens when you're, like, bouncing back and forth. Yeah, my bad. So... now what? I'm really torn on this War Priest. I kind of want it in. Alright, you think so too? Yeah, Starstreak, this is, like, surprisingly close to a modern deck with better lands, right? Like, you get Caracas and Wasteland added to it, but otherwise, like, a lot of the shell is the same. You just get a couple more broken cards. Yeah, so you run Imperial Recruiter instead of Recruiter of the Guard so that you can go and cast, so that you can go and get Izzet Staticaster and Reflector Mage. I'm going to keep this one. Like, it doesn't have a lot of, like, objective pressure, but I have Surgical Extraction, I have Aether Vial, and I have 2 Wastelands. This is a good recipe. So, what do I want to get Wastelanded if I get Wastelanded? I think the answer is one of my own Wastelands, because I need colored mana. So I'm going to lead on Aether Vial here. And I'm leading with this over just, like, Cavern of Souls and Noble Hierarch, so that if my opponent has Punishing Fire, I just don't, like, initially lose a card to it, and give my opponent something to do with their mana. How balls to the walls would I like to go? Because I can just, like, waste you, violin hierarch. Alternatively, I can also just, like, waste grove, surgically extract grove. Hey, Arkin. I don't really know that I can afford to wasteland in the face of, like, a crop rotation. I just lose so much if my opponent has it here. So I think we just sit tight. I think I just, like, play another wasteland and pass. Engineered explosives for 1. How do I feel about that? I think that just happens. But maybe I'm supposed to wasteland here so that it forces them to go and crack it, so that on my turn I can just, like, cast a Noble Hierarch. But again, if they have crop rotation, it's such a wicked blowout. I think I'm just going to accept it. Yeah, so that can happen. So now I can Wasteland Grove, Surgical Grove, get all of those out of there, never have to worry about the Punishing Fire lock for this game, and then try to build up a board. If my opponent has Loam, I've at least knocked out one of the most important things that I need to worry about out. Hey, there's the crop rotation that I played around. Alright, what sweet sideboard cards does my opponent have for me? 1 Ramming Up Excavator, 1 Molten Vortex, 1 Maze of Ith, 2 Maze of Ith. Alright, so what else is here? Oh, I don't get to keep their hand revealed on Moto, that's right. So they actually don't have any more real mana-producing lands, so I should probably just Wasteland them again. Meddling Mage is sweet. So what does my opponent have? My opponent has Crop Rotation and Exploration. Okay. So I can just Meddling Mage this turn. Which is probably pretty good. So now my opponent can decide if they want to Crop Rotation right here. Otherwise, they might lose the opportunity to ever Crop Rotation. No, I do not want to play Ziggurat in the face of Tabernacle. So, do I just want to name Crop Rotation, which I know my opponent has, or do I want to win life from the loam, one of the easiest ways that they could win this game? That's a real question. So, my opponent has played this Tabernacle, and so their hand is Chasm, Exploration, Crop Rotation. I think I just named Crop Rotation because they don't have mana to loam, right? Can't loam with no land? Agreed. Alright. And so now I have 3 damage a turn with Meddling Mage attacking, and I've got the Tabernacle taken care of with what I have here. Oh man, another Meddling Mage? That's sweet. Opponent messed up there. They should have, like, gotten rid of one of my mana-producing lands, because if they did so, I couldn't actually pay for all 3 of these. What on earth is this? Oh, it's just a Punishing Fire? Sure. Ariathalia, you love that leaderboard. Alright, so there's a very annoying Life from the Loam. Life from the Loam plus Tabernacle is very, very bad for me. Please don't blow up my Cavern of Souls. Shit. Okay. Now what? I think I just die. How can I win this game? I cannot win this game if my opponent wastelands me again. I think that is just a fact. How do I win? If I let my board die, and I draw Meddling Mage, or sorry, and I draw a land, I can play Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage, Life from the Loam, and then hopefully my opponent doesn't realize that they can crop rotation and kill me, like with another Wasteland. I think that has to be my line. So I can't, well, no, I can't. Yeah. Alright, so, actually, I guess the Hierarchs can go in, like, pay for stuff, because that's free. I just can't tap this, and I can't tap that anyway. So, okay. Correct. This is still not good, Basic Planes. Ancient Ziggurat sucks. Like, I understand why it's in the deck. It's very, very good in this deck, but it's kind of rough here. Alright, so I keep... Which Meddling Mage is this? This is the Life from the Loam one. So this is the one that I keep. So I go, pay 1 to prevent this, yes. And now these others die. And now we kind of hope that my opponent does nothing. I agree that I seem kind of dead. Alright, so now I'm not going to play this War Priest, because I can't pay for it. And I need to hope that my opponent just, like, does not see, like, crop rotation, like, get rid of my Cavern of Souls, kill me. Alternatively, there's the whole, like, Merit Lodge problem. Alright. I don't think there's any need to play the War Priest on the exploration there. I think it's just throwing away a body. Like, I'd just be treating that as a removal spell on the exploration. And if they draw the things that are good with exploration, I'm going to die to them anyway. So I think I keep the body in the off chance that I need something to close out the last couple of points of the game. Like, I may not be correct, but I feel like that's correct. So, like, the line that I took early on in the game was aggressive. At the time, I felt like it was a line that was very good, though, because at the time, my hand was garbage, right? It was just full of, like, 1-drops, and everything in my hand would really have eaten it to Punishing Fire. So I put myself into a situation where I shut off the Punishing Fire lock for the rest of the game. Like, you would prefer to use the Surgical on either Loam or Punishing Fire itself, but getting the Grove accomplishes the same sort of thing. So I don't regret doing it in order to try to press the advantage that my initial hand had. It just didn't work out. Alright, what does my hand do? Stuff. I'll keep it. So, I'm going to try to look like Death and Taxes for a turn. So, I'm going to lead on Wasteland Vial and hide some information. If my opponent searches me, like, they'll know that I'm on Death and Taxes. Yeah, and this also got a Force of Will, which is great, because on my next turn, like, I have the opportunity to either, like, just play another Vial or Wasteland them. Yeah, see, this is, all in all, like, a great series of exchanges for me. More than anything else, it's great because I still look like I'm Death and Taxes. Bob's great. I really like Bob. I was actually on a podcast with him last weekend. I did the Everyday Eternal podcast with him and Julian Knob. So that it's going to take him a few days to edit it, but that's coming. That's on the horizon. Let's see. I think I just want to get... I can get, like, hyper-aggressive here and go, like, champion into Thalia's Lieutenant, but that doesn't get... It doesn't get it out of the range of Lightning Bolt. Like, I play champion, Thalia's Lieutenant enters the battlefield, and then that turns it into a 3/3. Maybe I'm supposed to, like, not do that, and so maybe I play this uncounterably this turn, and then I Vial in my Mom, and if my opponent uses a removal spell on the champion, that's great for me because the Mom lives, and if my opponent uses a removal spell on the Mom, then, like, my champion becomes a 2/2, then I Vial in Thalia's Lieutenant, it becomes a 4/4, and then it's out of future Lightning Bolt range, so I think this is better. Looks like chat more or less agrees. Ah, you Lightning Bolt the Mom, do you? My opponent does indeed respect the mom. Oh, I just need to put these on the stack. All right, we now have one big boy. I attack for 6. Rip your life total. True name. Oh man, I hope I rip a land. Well, that's fine. So I don't need to do any attacking this turn, but so I get to end of their turn, Recruiter for Pontiff, Pontiff away this true name, and then this problem is solved. I'm just going to double check to make sure there's nothing else at 2 mana that I would want to get and deploy this turn, and I don't think there is. Oh, right, Noble Hierarch. Sorry about that, Jet. Alright, my opponent scoops it up. So, the question I need to ask now is, are they a Delver deck, or are they a mid-range deck? The Wasteland tends to indicate a Delver deck, and that this is just, one of their weird one-of threats. But the Preordain tends to indicate instead that we have, a mid-range to control deck. So, that's tricky. I don't know how much this is going to, impact my choices. I'm leaning towards them actually being Grixis Delver. So, conceptually, what's my plan? Hey, Sam. So, since I don't have 1-drop removal, unlike in D&T, this is probably good here. Magus of the Moon will probably steal a bunch of wins if this is actual Delver. And Recruiter's probably fine. I don't know how I feel about Dismember. It's removal for these sorts of matchups, but at the same time, 4 life for removal against the tempo deck doesn't feel great, especially when you have to walk it into a daze or something like that. So I don't think I like that. So what is not good in this matchup? I don't tend to like Palace Jailer against decks with True Name Nemesis. But if it's just going to be a random one-of, I might keep it. Alright, so you like bringing in... What do you say? Two Dismember, 1 Staticaster, for 1 Jailer, 1 Crusader, 1 Thalia's Lieutenant. I'll defer to your judgment here. Like, you know what you're doing. You've played this before. Alright, so my opponent's mulligan. What does my hand do? My hand goes champion into Thalia into freebooter or Thalia's lieutenant. I have additional mana denial elements, and I can make my stuff uncounterable. This is fine. Yeah, I'm very willing to dismember a Gurmag Angler. I'm less willing to, like, dismember a Delver. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of ThrabenU friends. Hello everyone who is coming from Jarvis's channel. My name's Phil Gallagher, I run Thraben University, and we're bashing with humans in Legacy. Yes, not modern, but in Legacy. We'll see if Champion of the Parish is a better turn 1 play than Delver of Secrets. Alright, turn 1, Blind Flip Delver. Now, is that a better threat than Champion of the Parish? Tricky. Okay, how aggressive would I like to be? No, we can't afford ports in this list. Our mana base is super, super greedy. It's below the stream if you want to take a look at it. Otherwise, I'll throw it up in between games. So, how do I want to sequence this turn? I think I just want to play 2 cards this turn. I think I want to play Champion of the Parish and Noble Hierarch this turn to set myself up the best for future turns. So, I'm going to play whichever one of these. I don't care if it gets countered first. And honestly, I think I'd rather have the Noble Hierarch around for mana. So I'm going to lead on a counterable Champion of the Parish. This could be Dazed. Then my follow-up will be the Noble Hierarch, which will go and give my little duders Exalted. And everyone's coming to play now. Now Mark's hosting me as well. Sweet. Unfortunately, this Champion of the Parish is still in range of Lightning Bolt, so if my opponent has a Bolt here, or a Dismember, it's just dead. So, Sam, thank you very much for the bits. I appreciate your support. And M. Tesm, thank you very much for your continued support as well. That's 5 months now. That's a really long time. Thank you. That means a lot. Oh man, and DJM43201, thank you very much for your support as well. Thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime money my way. An army of Thalia, raining the bits down on me. Thank you very much. Ah, there goes my Thalia. That's so sad. Alright, I did not get a Scalding Tarn there. However, the good news is the Champion of the Parish gets bigger. The even better news is that we now get to wasteland my opponent off of this volcanic island. And now we are crashing in for 4. And last I checked, 4 is more than 3. So this is good news for me. It's also very possible at some point in the next turn or two, I may chump block with this Kitesail Freebooter on the Delver just to buy time and make sure that I pull ahead in this race. I don't think I'm willing to do that quite yet on this turn. Ooh. Yeah, so I'm not going to do this in case I draw a Lieutenant so that I can make this bigger and then trade with a Delver. Alright, so if my opponent blind flips this, I'm dead in 2 turns. I have no reason to attack with the Kitesail Freebooter since, like, the Noble Hierarch pushes this to the same amount of damage. There has been a bidding war started in the chat. Luckily, the Delver didn't flip. Opponent just drew a land. That means good things for me in terms of the race. Alright, well, we can cycle that. Okay. I mean, Army of Thalia is pretty much always on the Bits leaderboard, and Army of Thalia did win a Legacy Premier League raffle, so there may be a correlation. What is this? Does that block make sense? I don't think that block makes sense, right? Isn't my opponent's out to flip the Delver to Lightning Bolt and then kill me? No, that doesn't work because of the Kitesail Freebooter. Am I supposed to dismember? I think I'm supposed to dismember while my opponent has 0 cards. I didn't really expect that block. If I had anticipated that block, I also should have attacked with the Kitesail Freebooter, but then that left me dead to a Bolt. So that would have been bad. No, I guess what I did was right. Yeah, so the Delver would have flipped, then my opponent would have gotten to Ponder. Yeah, so if I attacked with the Kitesail Freebooter, I would have just died. Good job passed, Bill. Man, we got lands. Boy, do we have lands. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, planeswalkers of all ages, opponent now, for their next trick, will top deck Gurmag Angler. I would like to draw a spell. Sorry, I should be more specific. I would like to draw a spell other than Aether Vial. I'm pretty close to naming Turtle. If I get another unclaimed territory, I'm going to name Turtle. Palace Jailer would be Dece to Dece plus, I would say. Well, if Jailer's not in the deck, it is not Dece to Dece plus, then. You know, this is fine. Staticaster would have been gas. Alright, so now we're dead to my opponent flipping Delver to Bolt. Flipping Delver to a Braid. That's bad. That's really bad. So now on my next turn, I'm going to have to attack with a Noble Hierarch so that I can leave back Kitesail Freebooter to block. Okay. So this means that my opponent wants to trade my Kitesail Freebooter for their Delver. I'm so confused. Yes, I accept that trade. I went from being dead to probably winning the game. So I'm very happy with how that panned out. Turbojet Mega Christ. I'm going to tell you a secret. Most opponents are soft. Like, the average MTGO player is probably better than the average player at your local store, but that's still not saying a lot, right? Like, I consider myself to be a better player than most of the people that I get paired against on Moto. And it's when I get paired against, like, the grinders that I really get to push myself. And it's those matches against, like, the really good players. That's what keeps me playing Magic. Like, when I sit down and I get to play against people like, you know, Anurag and Bob and Bryant Cook and people of that nature, those are the games of Magic that make me the happiest. All right. Little buddy, can you do it? Go! Go! Ah! It's okay. Got this wasteland here, and we're gonna get one of those underground seas over there. Yep, we're just gonna do that. Yeah, I'm super excited to be playing BBD this week on the Legacy Premier League. That's gonna be a lot of fun. He'll probably be playing Miracles or Grixis Control, although he might surprise us. Surgical Extraction. You know, I was playing Magic cards, so obviously Surgical Extraction was the correct card to bring in for this matchup. All right. Go, Mom, go. All right, chat. I don't really know what was going on in my opponent's mind for some of the decisions that game. I don't think I deserved to win that one. Well, okay. I didn't do anything to win that match. Let's put it that way. My opponent lost that match. Mike, thank you for clipping that. I'm going to enjoy that one later. You weren't wrong. He did surprise us. So, like, to talk about punts, like, every once in a while, like, just kind of, like, due to the Magic Online client, or due to, like, you just kind of, like, mentally derping for a minute, or, like, because you're bouncing back and forth and doing multiple things, you miss stuff. And that's fine. And if you do that from time to time, it's okay. But I don't understand the decision tree that led to bringing in Surgical Extraction against a 5-color humans deck. Sure, Gabo Hunter, I'd love to know how to pronounce his name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you utter Julian's name, and then you just, like, lose, right? That's how that works? It's just, like, a name that, like, is a harbinger to death? So it should be Knab? Alright. So I'm 100% going to wasteland this Cloud Coast, but I think I can wait one turn to do it. I wanted to play this Ether Vial. My hand is insane. And I don't think I'm too worried about anything that can come down on the next turn. Potentia, I'm considering playing some Enchantress, but I don't think it makes for good viewer experience, which is why I have not done so yet. Like, I've played the deck a little bit, I ran through a few leagues with it, but I don't know that it's where I want to be in terms of, like, viewership. I don't like decks that require, like, me to really focus while I am going off and take a long time to go off, and that's what, like, the Enchantress version that I would play would do, because I play the Words of Wind version, because it's sweet. And that deck does not kill quickly. Alright. So I Nug a Post. I play 1/1/1 boy. And I'm actually going to put in my Mother of Runes right now to play around a Warping Whale on my Champion of the Parish. Like, I don't want to, like, vial in the Mom at end step, and then with the trigger on the stack, get this Warping Wailed. I know my opponent probably is playing a Cloud Post on their turn, but if I can play around something, I should. Mike, whatever that is, I'll save that for later and enjoy it. I've got a handful of things queued up from tonight's stream. So kind of on the note of like other deck lists that I play other than D&T, I do have some things in mind. I got some suggestions from Twitter for things that I should play. Warping Wail, CS83. Warping Wail is what I was trying to play around. So I guess I'll do Thalia first here. And that'll prevent any shenanigans from happening at instant speed. So decks that were suggested to me as good potential follower goal streams were like the hypothetical 27 land D&T list that like I had mentioned in my interview that I did with Alan Wu. Pox and lands. There were a few others as well, and someone mentioned Wilson Hunter's Grixis control list since I played with BBDs last time. Yeah, sure. So Army of Thalia. My bribes are $12. For $12, I will play a deck list of your choice, and my wonderful sponsor, Card Hoarder, gives me access to a loan account, so I can play pretty much anything that I want in Legacy without too much trouble. So for $12, I stream once with a deck list of your choice. Ooh, boy. So I'm going to have to take that Thran Dynamo. So I'll get rid of that. And then I have a bunch of duplicates. So that Cloud Post isn't there, so I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So CS83, I'm more worried about them doing it in response to one of my triggers. So if I tap Vial or I put Mom in, and with that trigger on the stack, they could Warping Wail it at that point. That's what I was playing around. So depending on what happens this turn, I might have very close to lethal next turn with Recruiter for Thalia's Lieutenant. I'm not going to, like, count exactly, but because, like, that Walking Ballista is probably going to mess with things, because my opponent copies their Cloud Burst, and then they play Ballista for 2, and I'm going to have to, like, see what they do with that. Oh no, thought not. Opponent is holding out for a bigger Ballista. So I think I want to tick this one up to 3, so that if I draw Reflector Mage, I can Reflector Mage that Thought Knot and crash in for a bunch. Oh, man! Yes! That was just Time Walk. I do feel pretty smart. I've got to admit, that feels decent. So now I'll draw a card with Horizon Canopy, and if I don't draw a Wasteland, I'll just play Hierarch. No! No! Ancient Ziggurat, why are you so bad? Alright, I almost literally have it all. So, do I still want to draw the card? No, I don't want to draw the card now. So I'll play this on human. I'll use Ancient Ziggurat to play Hierarch. And this is purely just to get another counter on Champion of the Parish. Now I'll Alpha. And at my opponent's end step, I'll draw a card with Horizon Canopy. I don't want to do it earlier due to Thought-Knot Seer concerns, although I guess Reflector Mage stops that. But, like, I still have no reason to do it earlier, so I should wait. This is indeed a big ballista. But we still might beat it. I'm not really sure. Like, I'm just going to get to turn a bunch of stuff sideways, and it's my opponent's job to figure out whether or not they're alive. Oh, this ballista is very thick. Yes. Agreed. So my opponent needs to block the ballista on Champion of the Parish or they die. That much is clear. Okay, so what happens if I attack in with everything? I attack in with everything, my opponent blocks Champion, and then they can deal with 1, 2, 3, 4. They can take 2 damage this turn, go to 3, and then can they Ulamog me? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, they can Ulamog me and exile 2 critters. So the line I just talked about assumes that they kill Kitesail Freebooter, although they could also kill Noble Hierarch, not that that does a lot of good. Is it worth... I don't need to play this mob pre-combat for any reason. I will play it post-combat, though. Welshman, thank you very much for your continued support. 6 months is basically forever, right? Pretty sure. This ballista is such sick value. It's disgusting. So I think I've got this locked up. So my opponent will cast Ulamog and get rid of my Reflector Mage and my Champion. So they'll Vesuva a Cloud Post. The Cloud Post will tap for 4, 8, 9. In order to cast the Ulamog, they have to tap Ancient Tomb, and then I Violent Crusader, and they die. They will die when a Mother of Runes pokes them for lethal. So that's sweet. Hold on, what am I missing? Why is it... Okay, I see. Couldn't you just have played Vesuva? Or was the Vesuva already revealed and that's the other Cloud Post? That must be it. Otherwise, that line's just, like, so incredibly obvious. Yeah, so the Vesuva must have happened the turn that Thought-Knot Seer was played. Got him. Opponent confirmed unhappy. Who'd win? Mom and one Beady Boy? Or one 10-10 tentacle monster? Obviously, Mom. Every day is Mother's Day. Alright, so what do I want for this matchup? I really like Magus and Manic Vandal, and I like Recruiter to get them. Sanctum Prelate and Dismember seem kind of medium. I would consider playing them, but I kind of need to like look and see what's worse. So I don't want Moms in this matchup. Like, my opponent's deck is entirely colorless, so that's the easiest starting point to cut. And Pontiff's really bad. Like, Pontiff doesn't kill anything on their side, it's just like a one-turn Anthem to shove for damage. Welshman, this deck feels fine. Gabo Hunter, I think it's more accurate to say that sideboard cards just aren't good against E.W. Landon. He's very, very good about playing around everything when he has the possibility to. So I'm 100% going to play one of these, and I'm thinking about finding room for a second, because just, like, preemptively setting that to 7 for All Is Dust seems pretty important. I don't know if I'm supposed to cut the Mirror Crusader, because it's just, like, a generic card that doesn't have hateful abilities in this matchup, or if I'm supposed to trim one Reflector Mage, since they don't have that many early roadblocks. I'm not sure if, like, the Crusader or the third Reflector Mage is better. I'm going to keep the other Reflector Mage because, like, bouncing the Thought-Knot Seer, getting my card back, and preventing them from doing that again seems fine. So to give Sorry, I'm going to talk about my hand. This is a keep. It's a hand that can get extremely aggressive very quickly. To just like talk a little bit more about like sideboard cards versus Reanimator. A lot of people think they can keep a bad hand on the strength of one graveyard hate card, and in many cases that is not actually true. Like a lot of people think like, oh, my 6-land hand with this ley line is going to be amazing. No, it's not. Like they'll just dig for one of their 4 wear tears that they generally board in blind, and like that will end things. So I'm gonna go ahead and play Noble Hierarch on this turn, so that next turn I can play Champion into Thalia. If I play like Champion this turn, then I'd want to play Thalia next turn, and this Noble Hierarch's not ever going to get me any value, so I want to accelerate it out now, while it's still an accelerant. Yeah, so to just like follow up on Neely D's comment here, like at the same time, you still don't necessarily like mulligan the loose 7 that has Leyline, right? Like it's still one of those things that you probably need to like go and keep, even if it's bad, but you just have to accept that like sometimes it's not necessarily good enough. Hold on. What just happened there? I have 2 Thalia Guardian of Thrabens in hand, and my opponent just took one of them. What does that mean? All right, let's not assume this is a misclick. What could this possibly mean? Does it mean my opponent can answer 1 Thalia, and this, like, with removal in their hand, but they're very non-creature heavy? Alternatively, it could mean that they don't want me to Reflector Mage this Thought-Knot Seer? I'm not sure. Okay, so what if they have a Thought-Knot Seer? What's the line of thought? So if they have Thought-Knot Seer, and they'd 100% take the Reflector Mage, right? Because they don't want to give me the possibility of Reflector Mage bounce this and they can't play another one. Or maybe do they want me to like mess up and play this turn instead of like multiple cards? I don't know. I'm a little confused. Sure, there's also Ballista to think about, but Ballista will do dirty things to me no matter what stage of the game we're at. Assault Monolith. I'm going to shatter the shit out of that card. Oh my god, an attack? Are you serious? Deal! Deal! I'm gonna do so much damage to you. So Lumber Boy, I didn't win the challenge. I was 7-0 going into top 8. I actually got 3rd. I lost to Death Shadow. My opponent drew pretty hot and had some very timely dazes that ended up beating me. Well, because I don't know what Vithian Renegade is. Let's start at that point. Yeah, I got 3rd place. So I was 8, what? So that was 8-1 for the day. I beat Ant in the quarterfinals. I don't know what opponent's trying to do with their Ayabugan. It seems like they're trying to activate it. Grim Monolith, okay. I would love to draw a land so that I could both Reflector Mage and Kitesail Freebooter in my next turn. Ensnaring Bridge. Okay. That's actually not that big of a problem. So I can Reflector Mage, bounce this guy, attack my opponent for 4, and then I probably don't Freebooter, because Freebootering takes a card out of their hand. But I should probably leave myself with the potential of Freebootering. Awkwardly, I can't miss my Champion of the Parish trigger. So I'm not going to be able to attack with this champion, unfortunately, even though it's a 3/3 right now. Alright. So let's go blue, white, some random color. Send that back. And this one can't attack. He's sad. Okay, do I play Freebooter? My opponent cannot play Thought-Knot Seer on their turn. At minimum, they will have 1 card left in hand. This is not a may. I have to do it. I don't think that my opponent can cast something like an All Is Dust on their next turn. It's so they could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or so let me confirm that all is dust is in an Eldrazi. That does get discounted, right? Yeah, so that's tribal. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With a land, my opponent could all is dust. Otherwise, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Land could be 8 or 8, 9. Olimog doesn't beat me next turn. They still need a land to all is dust. So if I take a card, and my opponent is able to play a land and a spell, that leaves them with 1 card. Then Noble Hierarch can attack in for 1. Whereas if I don't take a card, I have 6. I'm not going to play it. I don't think I'm supposed to play it, and I think I'm supposed to just, like, present lethal if they can't do something. Like, if my opponent goes down to 1 card, the freebooter inside of the Noble Hierarch could attack, and then that's 2, and it's a 3-turn clock. But I don't like my chances as this game goes long. So I feel like I'm going to take my 1-turn opening here. There's the Thali attacks to think of. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but my opponent would need 1 more land in order to all is dust. So in their 4 cards, they would have to have land plus all is dust. Alright, so opponent has Matter Reshaper. That's fine. 3 cards remaining in hand. All this stuff can attack. Okay. So, these creatures can all attack. My opponent will block, I guess, probably the Reflector Mage and go to 1 here. Alright, how bad is this for me? Ugin the Spirit Dragon. That doesn't matter, right? This doesn't produce mana. We're not anywhere close to that. That card is irrelevant. Now that my opponent is at 1, I am willing to Kite Sail Freebooter. This gives me a flyer so that if my opponent plays Thought-Knot Seer, I've still just got him. Alright. Woo! 3-1. Alright, chat, I'm going to take just a moment to go ahead and run to the restroom, and then we'll go into the final round of this league. I will be right back. Alright, folks, I'm back. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site exclusively for legacy death and taxes. We often play D&T on this channel, although tonight I'm going and playing with Legacy 5-color humans. We are currently 3-1, and things are going pretty well over in Phil land. I hope you've been enjoying this tonight. It's been a lot of fun. The deck list feels fine. You've got a decent... Sorry, let me resort this. You've got a very fair amount of interaction versus a lot of decks at 2 mana, and that's a little bit of a draw over D&T. D&T is a little bit slower. This deck is slightly more proactive, although it's a little scary. If your opponent does have sweepers, this deck does eat it pretty hard to them. Like the Walking Ballista in the previous game felt pretty bad, and I was very scared of All Is Dust in that other game there. I play Thalia and Thalia accessories. Yes, that is very accurate. Alright, so I'm on the play. What does my hand do? My hand's not stellar. I'm not, like, overly excited about this hand, but it has an Ether Vial. Vial's extremely powerful, and I can probably leverage the power of that Vial quite a bit. JPA, why are we playing a modern deck? I did so much winning with legacy decks over the weekend, I figured, like, if it's this easy, why not beat people to death with modern legal cards? It makes sense, right? More serious question. I decided I wanted to have some fun. I've been doing a lot of, like, super serious D&T testing in preparation for GP Richmond, and it's just kind of nice to have a mental break every once in a while. God, just, like, don't play Loam this turn. Let me get this Loam out of your hand with Kitesail Freebooter. Don't discard the Loam. Leave the Loam in your hand. Fuck! I'm so sad. We got savagely outplayed there. Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to save this Freebooter, and I'm going to get my opponent in the draw step on the following turn with it. Hopefully. I think I'm just going to play a Horizon Canopy and pass. Like, this isn't even worth playing out currently. It's just going to be a 1-1. Well, maybe it is. Every point of damage happens. Like, every point of damage matters in a matchup like this one. So let's put a clock onto the battlefield. This is just a little disappointing. There were a lot of ups and downs in this last turn cycle. God. That was the worst fucking possible card to dredge over. Now they have the Tranquil Thicket, so I can't fucking snipe it with the Kitesail Freebooter unless my opponent is bad. Oh, God. And there's a Punishing Fire, too. That's just gonna, like, hang out and live in the graveyard. Wait. Holy shit. You remember that part where I talked about my opponent being bad? Do you remember that part, chat? Do you remember that part? Because I remember that part. Oh my god. I think everything is gonna be okay. Wow. So I think I want to do it this way. I think I want to stack this like this. So I go cast this. Let it enter the battlefield. Hold priority. Place those on the stack. Oh, I already auto-yielded to that one. Crap. Well, actually, that doesn't matter. All right. I would like to take 1 life from the loam. All right, what happened to my trigger here? I should have gotten... This entered the battlefield, and I had that other Thalia... All right, whatever. This should have 1 more counter on it. I don't really know what happened there. I thought I did that correctly, but I clearly didn't. Oh, it was the initial auto-yield that did it? Okay. Yeah, like, as long as my opponent doesn't, like, draw Punishing Fire this turn, or Grove, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I guess, like, playing that Thalia's Lieutenant on turn 2 was fine. Like, I eventually came to the conclusion that, like, I wanted to do it, but I didn't imagine that, like, this was the scenario that we were going to be looking at another turn or so down the line. Alright, so... Surgical, this guy, Magus, Recruiter, Prelate, Fairy. So how did I sideboard before? I didn't want this Pontiff. I think I cut the Crusader. And I think I went away from Thalia's. Did I trim one of these? I'm off somewhere from what I did before. Just cut a lieutenant. Okay, that's fair. Like, the lieutenant's pretty powerful, but I guess if I'm trimming a bunch of humans for some non-human things like surgicals and fairies, it makes sense to trim one of those. I think this is fine. Yeah, I love the sideboard recruiter. That feels so good to me. So I can't interact with the graveyard, but I have a very aggressive hand. If I draw into a white source, or sorry, I should say another colored source, then I have, like, 2 meddling mages as follow-up plays. So I think this is fine. Otherwise, I just have, like, champion into Thalia's Lieutenant, and we hope the aggro plan gets there. I'm so glad my opponent punted that game. Alright, my opponent has probably kept their hand on the strength of Sylvan Library. Awesome. Yeah, Arcan Meddling Mage into Meddling Mage is going to be pretty disgusting. Yeah. I've identified some suboptimal plays on the other side of the table tonight. Quite a few. More than normal. And I think part of that is because, like, I'm playing a little bit of an odd deck. And it's not... And because I'm playing an odd deck, my opponents might not understand everything that's going on. So my opponent doesn't have another land. But I don't think I want to wasteland them. I think I just want to play unclaimed territory into Noble Hierarch and hope that they don't find a Punishing Fire or a Grove with their Sylvan Library. I don't think, like, this, like, attacking this is a good long-term plan. Whereas I think, like, playing Meddling Mage into Meddling Mage is a real plan. Let's think about the world where we get both Meddling Mages. Let's not think about what happens if we only have one Meddling Mage. Fuck! Everything's gone wrong. Alright, so let's draw a colored land off the top and put Meddling Mage on P-Fire. Eh? Eh? Okay. I'm going to think for a moment. Is there any world where I want to just wasteland this turn instead of playing my Meddling Mage? I don't think so. I think I want the pressure as well. Alright, so I think this turn is Meddling Mage. Then I think next turn is more another Meddling Mage plus Wasteland. Then we Thalia's Lieutenant into Thalia's Lieutenant. If I draw a land, I might not Wasteland them to open up the possibility of drawing another land on my following turn so that I can double Thalia's Lieutenant in one turn. Maze. Alright. That's fine. Yeah. I don't think I want to Wasteland my opponent. I will play the Wasteland, but I don't think I want to use it. I just want to hold that back. I don't know how to map very well, but double Thalia's lieutenant sounds like it's gonna be really fun. If I get the 4th meddling mage in play, I probably just name Abandon Hope. If I've reached that point, I've probably got things locked up. Not 100% sure, but feel somewhat confident. Gamble for Tabernacle would be pretty good. Samuel, I'm glad. Positive viewer responses and comments mean a lot. I don't know, like, Tabernacle doesn't really do a lot in the face of this wasteland that's sitting here now, does it? What's my opponent supposed to get? Maybe they were just, like, going for the combo and they have to, like, naturally try and combo. Or maybe they were getting Thespian Stage to just produce more Maze Abyss. So in order for them to have a shot at winning, they would need to, this turn, play both Thespian Stage and Maze of Ith, produce a 20/20. It could then block one of these things a turn, but I'm at 22 because they've given me 2 life with Grove. Do I have basic lands? I don't think I have basic lands. I do not have basic lands. Alright. So, pre-combat, I'll cast Mom. And I have to do it with an Ancient Ziggurat so that post-combat I can play Vial. I'm sorry, Gabo Hunter. It's Thalia that's in my heart. I hope you can understand. Gabo Hunter for mod. Alright. Gabo Hunter, you've been modded. Congratulations. Croyson grip that vial. Yes. You got it, opponent. You got it. Collecting swords is a great hobby. Look at all these lovely ladies. Wait, is Thalio's lieutenant a lady? I'm gonna assume yes. I can't tell with the art sideways. But it feels like the answer's yes. Ooh, okay. My opponent can live another turn. They can crop rotation for Glacial Chasm, sack a land, prevent the damage this turn, and get one more draw. Opponent is indeed casting Fog. So now my opponent cannot pay the 2 life for Glacial Chasm, so it's just hitting the bin. So now my opponent's down to 3 mana sources, plus a Sylvan Library that can't actually draw cards. If my opponent plays Tabernacle, I still pay for 1 of my cards, and I'm fine. Woo! Okay. So, let's sort of go over this deck list here. So I felt pretty good about this. I liked the bullets that I had access to in the main deck. Orzhov Pontiff was very good against True Name Nemesis. Mirran Crusader is something that I definitely want to have access to for like the Death Shadow matchup and many of the green mid-range matchups like Maverick and 4-color Loam. So, as far as the sideboard goes, I liked most of what was here. Again, unsure if I need like 1 more Graveyard Hate card. Unsure if there should be 1 more Mirran Crusader in the 75. But like I liked the cards that I had access to. Is It Staticaster was an MVP tonight, getting to take out 2 different waves of Goblin tokens. So that was pretty cool. I will say that many of my wins tonight were due to my opponents making errors. Like I made some myself. I definitely like had an auto yield set that I shouldn't have had set, and that potentially could have cost me a game, but it didn't. But like in game 1 of that lands matchup there, my opponent let me snipe that Loam when they had no business doing so. At Death and Taxes for the win. Do you think that trimming down to mono white, adding a stronger mana denial plan, and focusing around Thalia and perhaps Stoneforge would improve this deck? Hold on. You might be onto something. It's an interesting theory. I don't know. Maybe we'll explore that some other day. Maybe I'll write like a website about it. I don't know. So this is definitely something that I'd play again, and if you really want to see this deck list again, consider doing a donation deck list to get this back on stream. This is something that I'll play every once in a great while. I've been playing a lot of D&T in the last couple of weeks, leading up to Richmond, and tonight I just wanted to do something kind of silly for you, and to give myself a mental break. So, thank you all for joining me. Let's figure out what I should play Thursday. What do you think, chat? I was thinking about playing Marius Hausman's Green-White Maverick deck list. How does that sound? Do people want to see that? How do we feel about Green-White Maverick on Thursday? Well, I'm getting all sorts of interesting suggestions for things. The Antiquities War deck is neat. I'd consider playing that at some point. There is no consensus here. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll see what sort of mood I'm in on Thursday. But one way or another, I'll be back at Thursday at about 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time to bring you some sweet Legacy coverage. So, if you're enjoying what I'm doing here and you love Legacy, please follow my channel. And if you really want to support what I do, consider subscribing or doing a donation deck list so that I can keep playing great Magic. So, as a reminder, tomorrow night you can see me. All right, hold on. What day is today? Teacher time gets a little weird. Sorry. On Wednesday night, you can see me over on It's Julian playing in the Legacy Premier League. I'm going to have to face off against BBD, and he's probably playing some sort of control deck, and we'll see how it goes. My deck list for the Legacy Premier League is a little bit interesting. I made some questionable life choices, and we'll see how it goes. That's about all I want to say for now. But there will probably be a couple of raised eyebrows at cards that are in my deck for Wednesday. That's about all that I can say for now. I metagamed the deck list that I submitted pretty hard. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a night, and I'm going to go ahead and host someone else. I'll see you all again soon, hopefully.